Brussels is Europe's boom city. New buildings seem to be going up every day. This one will house the administration of the European community, now scattered all over the city. 3,000 Eurocrats will work here. Workmen from all over Europe are helping to build the new headquarters. It'll even have a heliport on the roof. After years of work, the effects of the common market can be clearly seen. The barriers are almost down, and the goods move freely across frontiers closed only 10 years ago. The common market is changing Europe's way of life. Nowhere on the changing face of Europe is the drama of human progress better seen today than in its high Alpine reaches. The remote mountain areas where new roads are being cut through woods of spruce and pine, right into the lives of once self-contained little communities with a way of life all their own. Today, it's a place where new ideas are taking over in the developing technique of forestry. Time is catching up with the men of the woods. They know, these woodcutters, just what it's like to battle every day of their working lives against nature. They belong to one of the most famous of the world's forest communities, at Berchtesgaden in the Bavarian Alps. Their locally built horn sledges are designed specially for the job of bringing timber down the mountain. But each sledge alone weighs more than 100 weight, and it takes skill and nerve to steer a crushing load of logs down a 50-degree ice slope at more than 20 miles an hour. One mistake, and your wood pulp. A 100 years ago, a quarter of the population, some 2,000 people, were still working in wood. Today, hardly 500 make a living out of woodcraft. The old crafts are dying. But when he's not working in the forest, many a lumberman can still turn skilled hands to figure carving, with the family joining in. At the Berchtesgaden Carving School, they're finding it hard to get local boys to learn the craft. With well-paid jobs available in the towns and cities, the 4-year carver's apprenticeship without wages holds little attraction. And in our motorcar civilization, another craft is on the way out, the wheelwrights. There's still work to be done on the sledges, even now the only sure means of transport at these heights in winter. Only in the Königssee area of Bavaria can man-powered sledges like these be seen. And it takes a lumberman's physique to pull these ice gondolas on a 12-mile slide across the lake and back. A reindeer farmer sees his herd only once a year, when they're rounded up from the forests. For the rest of the year, he fishes, hunts, grows enough potatoes for the family, and keeps a cow or two for milk. But with the new motor roads that have been pushed into Lapland over the last 25 years, most Laps today shop at supermarkets. Even on top of the world, life is changing. The family car, in the form of a 2-seater motor sledge costing about £400, has come to Lapland, a product of the mid-20th century that is quickly changing the ways of a people who have used the reindeer sledge for 2,000 years. Once a year, the Lap reindeer farmers get together for a day's sport, the sport of reindeer racing on a frozen lake, in this case in northern Finland. To own the fastest reindeer in the district is a great honor. First, individual times are taken for the circuit, with the rider towed on skis. The gait is awkward and loping, but a steady 20 miles per hour is kept up. After the day's fun, the serious work of reindeer herding begins. During the annual roundup, teams of Lapps may be out for a week or more getting together the herd. Lapp women work the reindeer alongside the men. This woman owner, Katrina, a widow, belongs to a Lapp tribe which came from near Petsamo, now part of Russia. Her tribe were driven into Finland by advancing Russian troops at the end of World War II. When the branding and gelding is finished, and no instruments other than human teeth are used for gelding, the herd is driven through to the inner corral. The herd is sorted, identified, and claimed by the owners. Every winter, this separation of reindeer has gone on for thousands of years in Lapland. It's the big event of the year. For to the Lapp, the reindeer is everything. It feeds him, it clothes him, and up until a year or so ago, it pulled his sledge across the snowy wastes.
Venice is a city where the cars stop at the end of the causeway from the mainland. Everything goes by water, through the traffic jams. Even the produce comes in by barge. The main post office uses boats. The police patrol by motor launch. Removal vans go by water. And even the dustmen cast off. It's all highly romantic. After all, what is Venice? A city of merchants, just as Shakespeare said. A small, artificial city built on a set of islands driven into the mud at the end of a lagoon. It's guarded from the Adriatic storms by a broken sand spit that starts with the holiday town of Jesolo, whose beaches attract 50,000 people from Britain every year. Yet, at the mercy as it is of tide and time, Venice is almost certainly the world's most concentrated treasure house, visited, it's said, by 2 million tourists a year, who spend a vast fortune to stand and stare. Tourism is its greatest industry. But every year, on the big tides, Venetians are used to the sight of the lagoon overflowing the St. Mark's Basin and bubbling up through the paving stones of the square itself. It's all part of the life of Venice, with the pigeons and the tourists enjoying themselves, keeping dry. More of a problem than the tides are the 200 motorboats, the high-speed taxis of the Grand Canal. They wash the foundations of the priceless palaces, churning up the water. One extra reason why Venice is sinking a fraction of an inch a year. But meanwhile, Venice goes on. Not for nothing was it the city of pleasure through one civilization after another. It doesn't really change much. It's still the most romantic and to millions the most loved city on earth.
Costa Smeralda means Emerald Coast. 35 miles of clear green sea lapping deserted, well, almost deserted beaches. A consortium headed by the 29-year-old Aga Khan bought this stretch of coastline in 1962 and is developing it as Europe's luxury holiday playground. Their master plan calls for the construction of more than 8,000 villas and flats and 35 to 40 hotels by the 1970s. The traditional Sardinian style, such as this 100-bedroom hotel built by a British company, is the most popular. Miles of new roads are being built. Fresh water supplies, electricity and telephone cables are being laid. It's estimated that eventually £90 million may be invested in this 35-mile playground. So far, the venture has been a success. Royalty, film stars and people who can afford £6 to £10 a day full board at a hotel are enjoying the Mediterranean sun without crowds. Others are buying waterside flats from about £5,000 and villas from about £10,000. A Costa Smeralda holiday is essentially a quiet, crowdless day, which is the whole point of the place, on a private beach with plenty of service near at hand. In the evenings, whether at hotels, clubs or barbecues or beach houses, there are foods brought from all over Europe. Most of the visitors are from England, Germany, France and Italy, and the 4 languages fly to and fro.